Hey, we'll see how this does with the music playing in the background. Beautiful sunny day in Arizona. Yeah, we're going to be triple digits. Yay. So, we're back on Project Jeep. However, we also have broken Vette. So we ran into a slight problem with this Corvette last week before I had to take off to Boston. And as you can see, the interior is pretty much gutted out right now. And the reason being, and I believe I left the box in the other room, in the computer room, the receiver box for the FOBs, basically the FOB controller, has decided to kaput itself. So what does that mean exactly? Well, the FOBs could unlock the doors, they could pop the trunk, but when I went to try and start the car, it kept saying no FOBs detected. Even though the FOBs were doing everything to the car, they just couldn't start it. And pretty much the only thing that controls that is the box. Now, if I plugged it into the glove box and went and put it in the slit in the glove box, no problem. I could get it to start. Of course, I have to probably try it once or twice. But it would eventually start this car. But because of that, I just ordered another box. So the car is going to be down for about a week while I wait for another box, which is fine because I got to tear that door apart because it creaks and annoys living crap out of me. One word of advice: do not slam the doors on these. There's a little slip of sheet metal that runs along here helping to support this. And that little piece of sheet metal is only tack welded on, and then they paint over the tack weld. So if you slam the door, you're going to bust the little tack welds on that little piece of sheet metal that's hanging on there. It's only about that thick, and it goes along the entire door. With this car, the tack weld that's about here and the tack weld that's about here are both busted because people have slammed the doors. That is on both the driver and the passenger side, and it's a problem. Needs to stop. So, this is under construction. I also found out on the bottom clip down there, it's a little damaged on the center console, so I haven't decided if I'm going to buy another one yet or not. We'll see. But, yeah, got the thing torn apart again. But, we'll get it fixed in about a week. I'll be back on it. However, we're back on this. Last place we left off, I was intending on ripping a bunch of stuff out of this Jeep. To include its fuel tank, which happens to be on the top instead of underneath right now. All the hoses are dry rotted, every damn one of them, so no point in messing with them. The reason why I took this apart, and we'll bring it with us here, this is the sending unit. Yeah, that's toast. So we took this thing out, and we got our stuff. So there's three major pieces that this Jeep needed in order to pull this off. It needs a new exhaust, needs that sending unit replaced in the tank, tape put back together, needs the fuel injection system. So we did get the fuel injection system from Performance Fuel Injection Systems off of eBay. Now, to my knowledge, he only has an eBay store, but he might have something else. But I purchased this off of eBay after having a conversation or reading some stuff on the Jeep forums on what they thought about this product versus, I think it's called a Howl or the fast fuel injection system. One thing that they don't include that this one does is this guy. So this nice distributor cap has been modified so that the ECU over there can control the spark. So this thing doesn't actually run off the revs of the motor, it actually runs off the timing off of the ECU through a different spot. And this is something that the other systems didn't include, and I thought it would be very good to have this capability. So I went with this system over the others. It cost about $1,000, which, hell, was $300 cheaper than the cheapest system they could get me. Nice. Kevin who's the owner of this company, Kevin Whitty, he actually has a video on how to install this thing, and I think he used a CJ for it. I actually saw the video first before I purchased the system, and I didn't realize him and that eBay store was one and the same. He did a great job on it. As you can see, everything's kind of nicely done. Beautiful rebuilt throttle body here. You know, he puts his emblem on here, and new fuel. Has everything all nicely labeled and stuff. One of the meticulous things I like is the fact that he manually had to check everything off. This is meticulous. Most people would have just used a computer and just written it up. He went through this individually to make sure he had this right from the get-go. All the stuff you see right there on the ground, that was all in that box. He had this thing packed extremely well. So I have no problems putting the stickers after I'm done on this Jeep. Kind of support him in his endeavors. He did a beautiful wire harness. This thing is nice. Yeah, and he serial numbers the thing too, which kind of surprised me. I wasn't expecting him to serial number it, but he did. I figured he would have done more with the ECU than that. This is the fuel pump he brings. Now, I'm going to deviate from... Oh, got to bring this up. I didn't know what I was going to do about that yet. Thank God he had it. Otherwise, I was going to have to purchase one myself. One of the decisions that I'm kind of making on this particular project, and I'm deviating from, is I'm not actually going to use this starting off. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep the filter. I just want to have them. Instead, I actually purchased the sending unit with the built-in fuel pump for the 2.8 liter, which happens to do 49 to 50 psi, which is about the same as that fuel pump. I wanted it in the tank versus outside. I wanted to make the Jeep as original looking as you can get it and clean as you can get it. So I wasn't really comfortable about just mounting the fuel pump against the rail or on that piece of the Jeep, which of course the sun's messing with it. So instead, I'm going to try this first. I know I'm going to have to do some rewiring to get it to work, which is fine. I can do wiring all day long, so I don't care. But I am going to use that fuel pump instead of this one starting off. Now, if I have too many issues or something goes wrong, then I won't waste my time with the fuel pump. I'll just use the sending unit on it, and I'll use this fuel pump. And it's not a big deal because that's internal. This is external. So, and I found out how easy it is to drop the tank on a Jeep. And when I get done with the wiring with the hoses in the back, we'll be good. But I want to kind of show meticulous work he does with this. I mean, he did a really nice job. One of the things that we probably want to bring up is when you order this on eBay, he will send you an email from a Gmail account asking you some questions to make sure, you know, you have, with the type of Jeep you have, is it a manual automatic, because it does make a difference. Well, kind of an interesting thing here. 4.3 Jeep manual only. It's interesting. I have a 4.2, not a 4.3, so I think that was a mistake there. So he will ask you some questions. With me, that was a problem because I sometimes have issues with my own mail system and Gmail, so I didn't know if he got my messages. So I actually contacted him, and so I could give him the information needed by phone. Otherwise, all this stuff is going to end up in there, and we'll see how that does. Well, get you back when I get to the next level.